region is very complex. Even on the lateral wall of the nasal cavity, there are already many openings, including the nasal meatus, a spadeway for airflow, and the ostia of the paranasal sinus, and the opening of the nasolacrimal duct. And posteriorly, the nasal cavity continues as the nasopharynx and then the oropharynx, and which share a passage with the digestive tract. Now, because of this relationship, if the closure mechanism between this nasopharynx and oropharynx by the soft palate is not perfect during swallowing or when loving or cowing, a bolus of food or liquid can be pushed back toward the nasopharynx and may come out again through the oral cavity or the nose. If I say bolus, you familiar with bolus, right? Okay. Now we start with swallowing system. When we discuss about deglutition or the process of swallowing, it is important to understand the coordinate interaction between the larynx and pharynx. Like the during swallowing, the larynx in here. Is it my pointer is clear?
Yes.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Okay. So during the swallowing, the larynx in here will move upward and causing in here the epiglottis is uh, to fall down and cover the entire to the larynx. And this action is prevents food or liquid from entering the airway and directs it safely into the pharynx and esophagus in here. This mechanism protects the respiratory tract and ensures the breathing is not interrupted by food entering the lungs. And after the food mass in here is passed to the pharynx and entered to the esophagus in here, the muscle that leave the larynx is relaxed and the larynx returns to its normal position. It's backward in here and at the same time the epiglottis is turns it to its upright position, opening the airway to allow normal breathing to resume through the trachea in here. Okay, if I go too fast, you can correct me, okay? And then get rid of this position. Okay. So if this protective mechanism is impaired or fails, food or liquid can enter the airway. So if this is not closed, the food that we while we swallowing is go and enter the trachea, and then this food or liquid can enter the airway. This is causing choking. Choking occurs when the airway is blocked and leading to difficulty breathing or even suffocation if not promptly managed. Okay. Okay. Now we continue like swallowing system and reflex gait. In your question, there is someone who asked about why do some people have a gap reflex that's more sensitive? Does it relate to where the oropharynx begins? Okay, the gag reflex is like closely related to this swallowing protection actually. Like, is it a complex reflex triggered by stimulation of sensitive areas in the oropharynx, including the posterior parts of the tongue, like the soft palate, uvula, and the walls of the pharynx? Like this reflex helps prevent the entry of foreign objects into the throat and airway by causing an involuntary contraction of the pharyngeal muscles that we know like reflex gag reflex. And some people have a more sensitive to gag reflex because the distribution and sensitivity of sensory nerve endings, mainly like via the glossopharyngeal nerve. And this is actually vary among individuals. Okay, the exact point is where the oropharynx begins can also influence the sensitivity. If sensory receptors are denser or more reactive around this transition zone, from the oral cavity into the oropharynx. I mean, like the stimulation there is more likely to trigger a stronger gag response. Those variation in these anatomical boundaries and nerve sensitivity in the oropharyngeal region contribute to why some individuals exhibit a heightened gag reflex. But beside that, there is the other factors involved in the etiology of gagging, like anatomical factors like variation in oropharyngeal anatomy, such as enlarged tonsils, small mouth size, or dense sensory receptor in the posterior tongue. And the second is like psychological factor, like anxiety, fear, or uh, past negative experience, and even anticipation of stimuli trigger psychogenic gagging via nervous system activation. And then there is a local and systemic disorder, if like local issue, how I said, postnatal drip, pharyngitis, and some allergic irritated throat, and systemic condition like diaphragmatic hernia or medication side effects. And for the last is there is iatrogenic factors, which is like dental. Maybe it's like dental procedures or improper positioning when we do like some dental treatment. Okay, now we next to the Waldeyer's ring. I hope you still remember what is Waldeyer's ring because it's really works in our daily life. Like uh, Waldeyer's ring is several aggregation of lymphoid tissue near the relation of oropharyngeal isthmus in nasopharynx and oropharynx area, but Waldeyer's ring acts like an immune gate where the respiratory and digestive tracts meet. Like the tonsil in this area catch foreign in here. You can see in this picture there is the components of Waldeyer's ring is like pharyngeal tonsil in here and the tubal tonsil in the below the pharyngeal tonsil, and then there is palatinal tonsil left and right, and then there is lingual tonsil. This is the posterior part of the dorsum of the tongue. And the main function of this Waldeyer's ring is they will trap foreign particles, microorganisms, and antigens from inhaled air and ingested food or drink, or it activates local immune response, which is their production of B and T lymphocytes and immunoglobulins. And like I said before, Walders ring is acts an immune rings of defense at the mouth nose throat junction. And enlarged or inflamed tonsil in ring increase gag sensitivity due to the proximity to reflex trigger zone. Yeah, this is like the histological site of the Walder's tonsillar ring. And then we continue to talk about larynx. Okay. Okay, as we know, larynx is commonly known as the voice box, is a cartilaginous structure in the anterior neck between the pharynx and trachea in here, between the pharynx and the trachea, and spanning in C3 until C6 vertebral levels. And the components of larynx is cartilage, muscles, and ligament. I think you still remember about it. And when larynx, the simpler, like larynx, when larynx is completely open, we breathing, and when it's partially open, it allows distortion of airflow, which results in phonation. And this is like speaking, singing, or yeah, or no. And then the completely when the larynx is completely closed, this is they protect the respiratory system in here trachea. As I say before, the anatomy of the larynx is the main component is cartilage, ligament, and the vocal folds. And this on this picture, the main cartilagus is the first one is there is a thyroid cartilago. This is the largest cartilage that forms the prominent in the neck, and this area is like Adam's apple in men, like we always say. And there is a cricoid cartilage. This is like a ring-shaped cartilage located below the thyroid cartilage. And then there is where is okay, in here. There is arytenoid cartilage. This is like a small cartilage that control vocal cord movement. And then there is epiglottis. As I said before, epiglottis is like uh, the type of cartilage that the a leaf-like flap that protects the larynx during the swallowing. And then there are some important ligaments like thyroid ligament in here. There is as connects the thyroid cartilage and hyoid bone, and there is a cricothyroid ligament. Cricothyroid ligament is connects to the thyroid and cricoid cartilage. This is so important when swallowing, and there is cricothyroid. After that, cricotracheal. Where is cricotracheal? In here. There is a cricotracheal ligament in here that connects the larynx and the trachea. This is the important ligaments in the larynx. And there is a focal fold, and in focal fold there is two like true focal folds or focal folds that is produce sound through vibration, and the false focal cords, or we always called like ventricular folds, like protect the true focal cords. So we talk about Adam's apple now, like the thyroid cartilage. Adam's apple, or we usually say is laryngeal prominence. This is occurs during the puberty and driven by an increase in testosterone hormone. This growth of the thyroid cartilage extends forward and sharpens the angle like about 90 degrees in males, and I think in female is like around 120 degrees in females. Actually, the size of the larynx in boys and girls is similar, but after puberty, the elevated testosterone stimulates the growth of the thyroid cartilage that encloses the vocal cords, and the growth is they are growth to anterior. And along with the enlargement of the larynx, the vocal cords lengthen and thicken, and this is causing the voice to deepen and lower pitch in males. And in females, the thyroid cartilage grows less prominently, so this palm is usually less visible. So that's why, in some cases, maybe in forensic case, this cartilago is always used like for gender determination. Okay, so there is a question from you guys, like how does Adam's apple differentiate how deep your voice is? I think I already explained before, like the Adam's apple size and prominence relate to voice depth because it will indicates the underlying growth of the thyroid cartilage and vocal cords, this is a key anatomical determinants of vocal pitch. So why each man have a different deep voice. Like each man experience different testosterone levels during puberty, affecting how much the larynx and vocal cords grow. And longer, thicker vocal cords produce lower frequency vibration, and this is resulting deeper voice. So when someone with higher testosterone, this is tend to have deeper voice. Okay, now we talk about larynx muscles. Okay. When we talk about larynx, we always talk about ligament and the muscles. And in the larynx, there is two type of muscles, that is extrinsic muscles and intrinsic muscles. And the main function for the extrinsic muscle is to move the whole larynx in the swallowing process, and the intrinsic muscles is to move the vocal cords. This is will lead to speaking and breathing process. Okay. In this picture, this is a larynx extrinsic muscle. This is which produce the movement of the hyoid bone in here, and this is like starting like myohyoid, stylohyoid, thyrohyoid, and the others until the sternocleidomastoideus and sternohuroid, and this is they act to elevate or depress the larynx during swallowing. And for the larynx intrinsic muscles, they are located inside the larynx and they are move the vocal cords in here and attach between the laryngeal cartilage and then control voice production and breathing. And actually, with this all of these muscles, there are five main function like adductors. The first one is adductors, which is this muscle will bring vocal cords together. This type like lateral cricoarytenoid and transverse arytenoid. And the second is adductors. This is the function is to separate vocal cords. And then there is a sphincters, or we also call like cricopharyngeal muscles, which is the function is to close the larynx when the swallowing process. This is and the tensor function like tighten vocal cords, and then relaxer loosen vocal cords, and everything in the muscle of the rather than in intrinsic and extrinsic, they all always have a main function. Okay, we continue to the next question. Okay, you ask about how do movements of the I cannot read it. Okay. How do movements of the laryngeal cartilage, thyroid, cricoid, and arytenoid coordinate with the pharyngeal muscles contraction during swallowing to protect the airway? Actually, I already explained before in the swallowing slide, like before. So here I'll explain to you more complete. Like before swallowing, larynx in here is still in resting position like in the picture, and the airway is open for breathing, and then the epiglottis in here is the position is upright. And then we continue to pharyngeal phase, which is the suprahyoid muscles is a contraction pull the entire larynx in here is upward and forward, and then the larynx is moved closer to the base of the tongue in here. So okay. The larynx is moved closer to the base of the tongue in here. And then after that, the epiglottis closure, is just flip in here and larynx move up, epiglottis folds backward and covering the laryngeal entrance in here. Can I, how could I? Then after this epiglottis closure, the epiglottis is come right here, is closed and covering the laryngeal entrance. And this soft palate is flip in here and close the nose. So the food is not uh, the food is just entered into the esophagus in here, and then vocal cords in here is also closed, closure like false vocal cords closed, true vocal cords closed, and arytenoid, and there is arytenoid cartilage tilt forward and together, and this is will tight seal in here. And then there is cartilago movement, just like thyroid cartilage moves forward and upward, cricoid cartilage moves upward with entire larynx, and arytenoid cartilage rotate and slide medially. And then pharyngeal contraction, like pharyngeal constrictor muscle contract sequentially, push foot. The foot over here is just pushed in here by the muscles, and then toward to the esophagus, and they are coordinate with laryngeal elevation timing. Now, in here, how can I erase this? Okay. Okay. And around here, there is, like I said before, this sphincter muscles opens to allow the food blast. This is open first. Oh my God. Okay. The sphincter muscles opens to allow the food bolus to enter the esophagus in here. And after the bolus is passes the sphincter muscle is closed again to prevent any regurgitation of food or fluid come back into the pharynx or oral cavity or nasal cavity. And after that, after swallowing finish, larynx returns to resting position, epiglottis lifts back, and vocal cords open and breathing resumes. Okay. So I hope now you understand about larynx is same with voice box, and larynx is in here, and in the middle of larynx there is a vocal cords which is the resultings of phonation. Vocal cords is also like known as glottis, and actually there are divided into some cartilage like arytenoid cartilage in here that is like a pyramid shape that control vocal and cord movement, like regulate the opening and closing of the glottis. And there is true vocal fold in here, the actual tissue folds that produce sound composed of muscles, ligament, and mucosa. And this also can open and close the to create a vibration. And in here there is a false vocal folds, or this is located above the true vocal cords and but not directly involved in normal voice production, but the function is as protection and help close the airway during the swallowing. And there is a glottis left and right in here. The glottis is the space or gap between the two vocal cords. Its size is varies during the speaking, breathing, or rest. This is when the glottis is open and when this is closed. Okay, so how we can voice how the voice production. The voice production is have three main components like power source. This is the power source is air from the lungs pushed by the diaphragm, and the second one is vibrator, vocal cords that vibrate to create sound waves like we talked before. And the third one is there is resonator, oral, nasal, and pharyngeal cavities that amplify and modify sound. So during the breathing, this vocal cords is wide open, and the air from the lungs is pushed by the diaphragm, and they are flows freely through the glottis because this is still open, and in this condition there is no sound produced. But during speaking, the glottis is in closed position, and the vocal cords like come together and nearly close in here, like the glottis left and right is nearly closed, and air from the lungs is forced through the narrow gap in here. So that resulting vibration, and air first pressure cause the vocal cords vibrate in here. Okay, so I'll answer some of your question, like if mute does the vocal cords vibrate. No, the answer is no. I already explained before, like vocal folds remain in a widely abducted position, and they are allowing air to pass through freely, and phonation occurs when only when the vocal folds are adducted tightly in this vibration, but for both speaking and singing also. And for the next question is the difference between speaking and singing. Speaking can occur with or without vocal fold vibration, depends on when speaking voice sounds or voiceless sounds. Singing almost always requires vocal fold vibration, and like because the musical notes, or we call pitch, generated by controlled vibration of the vocal folds. So the what is a voice sound and voiceless sounds? Voice sound is like The voice or the voice that require a vocal cord vibration like a I U E O, and the voiceless sounds is like the voice there is no vibration needed like whispering or some letter like P T K S F H or the others. And then okay, this is I'm asked about your opinion. What do you think about humming, vibrate or not? You can answer after this class, after I finish my slide. And for the next question is why does everyone have different voice pitch? Okay, I already explained before with the in the Adams slide, and they like vocal fold length, thickness, laryngeal size and shape, tension, hormonals, and the longer vocal folds vibrate more slowly, so it is resulting the lower pitch, and the shorter vocal folds vibrates more quickly, that is resulting a higher pitch. And the thicker of the vocal fold, so it's resulting in the deeper voice, and the thinner of the vocal fold is resulting a higher voice. And for the next question, why do some people naturally have deeper voice? Are the vocal folds thicker or longer? I already explained also. And for the next question is, why does the laryngopharynx feel tight when someone is stressed or anxious? Okay, so when someone is stressed or anxious, they are produced like a fight or flight response, which is this is stress triggers the sympathetic nervous system to release stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. And this condition also resulting like muscle tension. These hormones cause involuntary contraction of the pharyngeal constrictor muscles and laryngeal muscles around the laryngopharynx. And also, that is resulting altered breathing, like breathing shifts from slow, deep breaths to rapid, shallow chest breathing, increasing throat and neck muscle tension. And this is resulting also the vocal fold tension. The vocal folds become tense and move close together, adding to the tight sensation. And this is the last question, I think. Why do tonsil stones specifically form in the tonsil and not in other areas of the mouth or throat? Yep. Actually, the tonsil is have deep grooves or small pockets, which we always call it like crypta or crypts. And this is tonsil. This is anatomy is not found in other parts of the mouth or the others, but this crypts is always trap food particles, dead cells, mucus, and also the bacteria. And over time, this will trap the material hardens and calcifies into the stones. So that's why the tonsil stone is appear. And in others area in the mouth and throat, like the cheeks, tongues, or throat walls, have smoother surface without deep pockets. Okay, I think I already explained the question number one. Number two, difference between speaking and singing. If mute does the vocal cords separate, okay. Why does everyone have different voice pitch? How does a vocal? Okay. Okay. Thank you. It is clear for this larynx phonation topics, or there is still a question?
I think we're all clear, Doc.
Okay. Mm, okay. Everything's clear for tonight? There is no question? So what do you think about my question earlier? Like humming, there's humming is need of vibration or not?
In my opinion, I think humming does create vibration in vocal cords because you're still creating a sound. So even though when you hum, your mouth is closed, the vibration is still it exits through your nasal cavities. So regardless of whether or not your mouth is open or not, because it's from your nasal cavities, it still travels through the vocal cord and out back to the nasal cavity.
Yep, yep. Correct answers. Like during hammer, the mouth is closed. Like even though like the air is always is pass in the nose, and that is resulting of vibration. Okay, thank you, Haley. Okay, everything's clear. Okay, so we can close our class for tonight. Okay, if you still have any question about this topic, you can send to me. But for tonight, I think we can close this session. Oke, ngangguk-ngangguk aja semua ya. Oke. Alright. Okay, thank you for your attention and good evening, everyone.
Good
Thank you
evening,
for
Doc. Thank you
your
very much,
Thank you so
Doc.
thank you
much,
for your
Doc.
clarification, Doc.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Doc.
Doc.
Thank you, Doc.